Hello and welcome to question 19 of the AQA GCSE Specimen paper higher tier 8300/1H non-calculator page. Okay, we're picking up here in question 19. It says show that 12 cos 30 degrees minus 2 tan 60 degrees can be written in the form of root k, where k is an integer and that's worth 3 marks. Now you might already know that cos 30 degrees is root 3 over 2 and tan 60 degrees is root 3, but in case you didn't know that, let's derive that from first principles. Let's imagine an equilateral triangle, which is a lovely triangle because we know what the angles are, because they all have to be the same and all the lengths have to be the same. So let's, for ease of maths, let's say all the lengths are 1 unit each. So that's 1 unit, that's 1 unit, that's 1 unit. Okay, that means that this angle and this angle and this angle all have to add up to 180 degrees, and they all have to be the same angle. So they're all 1/3 of 180 degrees, which of course is, well, 3 times 6 is 18, so they're 60 degrees each. So we know that this angle is 60 degrees, and this angle here is 60 degrees. Now the clever bit, let's cut this triangle in two. And what we have now, we've chopped this length in half. So this length is now 1/2. And this angle is 60 degrees. And this is a right angle now. So we now have a right angle triangle. So while we're at it, let's just get this length here. We can do this with Pythagoras' theorem. So we know that the hypotenuse squared is equal to this length squared plus this length squared. So 1 squared is equal to 1/2 squared. Actually, yeah, go on then. Is equal to 1/2 squared plus, and let's call this height for the time being, plus h squared. So that means 1 squared minus 1/2 squared is 1/4. If I can draw 1/4, is equal to h squared. Okay, 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 1/4 is 3/4. 3/4 is equal to h squared. You can probably see where we're going with this. So h is equal to the square root of 3/4, which is the square root of 3 divided by the square root of 4, which is 2. So it's root 3 over 2. So h, I'm actually going to delete that h now. And I'm just going to write in root 3 over 2. Now we have this angle here. We know this angle here is 60 degrees, but we've now cut it in two. So this angle here now is 30 degrees. And we can check that because in a right angle triangle, these three angles all have to add up to 180 degrees. 30 plus 90 plus 60 does indeed equal 180 degrees, because 30 plus 60 is 90, 90 plus 90 is 180. Right. Now what do we remember from our SOHCAHTOA? We know that the opposite over adjacent, so opposite over hypotenuse is sine theta. So 1/2 divided by 1, which is 1/2, is equal to the sine of 30 degrees. So sine 30 degrees is 1/2. But we also know that adjacent over hypotenuse is the cosine of the angle. So a half divided by 1 is the cosine of 60 degrees. So we can also say cos 60 degrees is a half. But that's not all we can say. Again, opposite over hypotenuse is sine theta. So the sine of 60 degrees is root 3 over 2 divided by 1, which is root 3 over 2. So sine 60 degrees is equal to root 3 over 2. And it gets better, because this can also be considered the adjacent of this angle. Adjacent over hypotenuse is cosine of theta. So the cosine of 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. So we can say cos 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. And lastly, what we can remember from our SOHCAHTOA is opposite over adjacent is equal to tan theta. So opposite is root 3 over 2 divided by 1/2 is tan 60 degrees. So let's just quickly do those calculations here. Root 3 over 2 divided by 1/2 is the same as root 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. Cancel, cancel, which is equal to just root 3. So we can also say that tan 60 degrees is equal to root 3. And if we wanted to, we could also say the tangent of 30 degrees is a half divided by root 3 over 2, which is the reciprocal of root 3, which will be 1 over root 3. Okay, so we have enough information now. We know what the cosine of 30 degrees is. It's root 3 over 2. And we know what the tangent of 60 degrees is. It's root 3. So let's start off by putting in what we know. Cos 30 degrees equals root 3 over 2. And tan 60 degrees is just root 3. So we want 12 cos 30 degrees, so that's 12 times root 3 over 2 minus 2 tan 60 degrees, which is just root 3. Well, we can cancel the 12 and the 2, so this is equal to 6 root 3 minus 2 root 3. So I've got 6 root 3's and I'm taking away 2 root 3's, so how many root 3's have I got left? The answer is 4. So that's 4 root 3. Okay, and we want this to be written in the form of root k. So now we need to do a little bit of surds manipulation here. We can bring that 4 into the radical by squaring it. So that's equal to the square root of 16 times 3. And if we can't remember that, what that is, I believe it's 48, but I'm going to check. So 16 can be considered as 4 times 4. So that's equal to the square root of 4 times 4 times 3, which is equal to the square root of 4 times 12, because we can multiply that 4 by that 3. So that's equal to the square root of 4 times 12, which is equal to the square root of 24 times 2, which is the square root of 48. But we know 48 is 4 times 12 anyway from our top 12 times tables. So that's the square root of 48. So we can say K equals 48. And it might be good to underline that as our answer. Okay, hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next question.